Hello there. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good everything. Yes, today is a wonderful day. You know why it's a wonderful day? We are celebrating our women. Yes, if you say you don't have any around you, you're not telling us the truth. So I have a wonderful guest today on the show. Now, you know the way we normally do it, I bring the guest on, but she's on with me already because she's a wonderful personality. You're wondering, her name is already there on the screen, Eden Onwuka. How do we describe her? Don't worry. I will bring her on to, tell us a little bit about herself. But there's one thing about Eden that gets to me. She is a force. Whenever she's around, you know Eden is around. When you hear her voice, you will know that is Eden speaking, none other but Eden. So that's who she is. So we are celebrating International Women's Day today. But listen, the whole of March, as you know, is dedicated to who? Our women. Yes, we dedicate it to them. The way I describe them is the support of the society. Every society functions based on her support system. And our support system, you know what I'm talking about, are the women. Enough of the talk now. So I'm going to bring her on to just tell us who is Eden Onwuka. You're welcome.
Amakri, thank you so very much. A shout out to the Word Café. I love what you do. I love that you are very tunnel visioned on, unveiling different dimensions of your purpose. I love that you are, reframing the conversation that men are not passionate about personal development. You've shown incredible leadership in how you've evolved over the 1 or 2 years that I've got to know you. And I just want to thank you for not just stepping into the fullness of that journey, but also supporting others. And I feel incredibly honored to be on this episode of the Word Cafe on no other day but the auspicious, International Women's Day. So thank you so very much for having me. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
having me.
You're welcome. Yep. So, who is this lady called Eden Onwuka? Who is she? If somebody, let's say, comes across this record comes across this, moment, and said, who is this lady? How would you describe yourself?
Okay. That question always gets me smiling because like every woman, I am a woman of many parts. Okay, and I own those parts and express those parts with everything I am. But I want to start with the thing that actually gets to me. I am a mom of 3 amazing daughters. So if I want to think of my essence, motherhood will be one of them. I am a mom of 3 beautiful girls that I feel called to. I call them my shades of God's grace. Then also, I'm a child of God. Before anything, I want you to remember that I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, unashamed, unintimidated, and that is who I am.
That's Eden.
Absolutely. Those two are fundamental to my essence, and I just wanted to kind of put it out there. And I know by doing this, I'm probably giving someone permission to own who they really are and not edit the script. So I like to describe myself as a coach, consultant, and capacity builder. So as a coach, I'm a member of the John Maxwell team, NLP trained, and also trained in emotional freedom technique. I'm a relationship and mindset coach. And through my coaching initiative, A Woman and a Half, we help high-performing women. We help high-performing women cultivate healthy relationships.
Awesome.
And enjoy emotional harmony so that they can live more productive lives. That's my coaching. Then as a consultant, I'm a small business consultant with Bank of America here in Texas. And I provide strategic and financial support to small business owners in Northeast Houston region. I've been in financial consulting for 17 years. That's the part of most people do not know.
Exactly.
So that's my coaching and the intersection of my consulting, but as a capacity builder through my social impact initiative and coordinating several benevolent projects, I reached
Mhm.
the unreached, and I also am a very vocal voice in cancer awareness and advocacy. So that's a
We
little
will,
about me.
we will get to that last part you said towards,
I know.
yes, the cancer bit. But truthfully, whoever hears this will know that what I said initially was Eden is a force, as in she's a force. When she gets into your space or that room, she fills that room with her energy, that God-given energy, and it's always exciting. You know, when I got across to you for us to do this, and you were like, "Yes, let's get this done on this day," I was so blown away. So why the bias? Why, for once, why did we choose? I wasn't there. I don't know who chose that topic and all that, but somehow it resonates with me. Breaking the bias. Why the bias for the women folks now?
And over the past couple of years, I followed the themes, and these things are not cliche, these are truths.
Yep.
So I don't think someone was trying to sound poetic and say, we were going to, no. I think
Mm.
fundamentally, as my mentor, one of my mentors, Larry Olushola, put it, we are in a pandemic or post-pandemic, whatever you define it, whether you're a pandemic or post. He said we're in a VUCAD,
Yes.
VUCAD, in a
Yes.
volatile, unpredictable, complex, and because disruptive season. So for me, it became very important why the theme break the bias. You know
Mm.
why? In any disruption, ambiguity, complexity, in any unpredictability or volatile, you know who are the highest receiving end of the backlash? Women.
The women. True.
Higher number of abused women,
Yep.
higher incidences of human trafficking and human slavery, women.
Mm. True.
We've made so much progress, but with the progress, with the creativity, resilience, innovation, power, and flexibility we bring to the table, right now, there are only still about 5% CEOs that are women.
Mm.
And it's estimated that the gender gap, the pay gap between men and women will take about 267 years
65.
to fill. Meaning that
Mm.
even if we started 200 years ago, we are still a little
Mm.
late. So
Mm.
I want us to honor the theme of break the bias. This is not cliche. We've made a lot of progress and we have to admit and own and be thankful for that progress, but there's still lots of work to do. And
Yeah.
because this is Word Cafe, and even though this is a globally acclaimed podcast,
Mm.
primarily we are both Nigerian. I'm Nigerian American, Nigerian by heritage, American by naturalization. But
Yeah.
because this podcast has two Nigerians, I want to call Banished.
Mm.
Banished is an example of why we need to break the bias. And if you do not know the Banished story, we have a precious 21 or 22-year-old girl that did everything right. She went into a safe bus, BRT bus, like a
Mm.
bus. If you don't know what BRT, she took a bus. She felt intuitively, she listened to her intuition. She seemed to have seen some sort of danger. So,
Yeah.
she honored her intuition, and in honoring her intuition, she did everything right. So she texted a friend, said, "Hey, I don't know, I'm having a funny feeling. This is the number of the bus." And she said, in case, so she did everything right, and she did not get out alive. You know why we have to break the bias? Because
Mm.
no woman, no girl should have to fear for their safety just
True.
because of their gender.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
It's a regular bus ride
Yeah.
that anyone should have gotten home for. So I feel like the only crime she had in that moment was that she was a woman.
A woman.
I just wanted to kind of bring that intro that break the bias. We have cultural biases to keep breaking.
Yeah.
We
We
have
do.
religious biases. And again, the distinction between religious and spiritual. When I mean religious, those are dogma that are unfounded. We have religious biases to break.
Mm-hmm.
We
True.
have political biases to break. We have
Mm.
intellectual biases to break. And
Mm-hmm.
more importantly, where we will maybe going to, we also have internal biases to break.
Internal biases. Internal biases.
You
Now
know,
you mentioned Banished's case. I read that. I read that story, and I think it was yesterday or so. I saw the story. I was like, what on earth is happening? Like you said, if it were to be a man, most likely that wouldn't have happened. You know, really painful. Then something great happened in Nigeria this morning, following what happened some weeks ago when the National Assembly made some. I think I don't know the right word to use to describe what they did, but quite archaic. And it was against the women. So some women got together and went to the National Assembly. They've been going anyway, but today, being International Women's Day, they went there. And towards afternoon here in Nigeria, we saw a publication from the National Assembly rescinding that uh, a decision they took, and said, okay, they're going to take it back. And I was blown away when I saw it. I was like, yes, enough is enough. So we don't have to put our women in one, like you said, political bias. You put them in one box, like, they're second class and all that. No, they also have equal opportunity on the table. So I think that's a plus for us here in Nigeria. And I say thumbs up to the women.
thank you.
Then,
We will take our flowers, We are confident we'll take our flowers if you give it to us. So thank you. And kudos to all the women. And you see, that's why this is very important. You see why these conversations are important.
yeah,
I mean, it's on one hand, I'm excited that they rescinded the verdict. But on the other
yeah.
hand, I'm like, do we even have to, like, did they have to be a protest? So I'm hoping that there will be more, like, are we still here? So
Hmm.
I'm hoping that this is, even though this is like a speck in the dust, but I
Yeah.
will take it. We'll take it. We'll take it.
I think it's the right step in the right direction. I said, okay, they've gone back to, like, okay, we're not going to consider this again for now. We need to review it to, like, have more female representation within this space. Then you mentioned internal bias. I think that's one that a lot of women are dealing with, that internal bias. Can you say, give us more on that, dealing with internal biases now?
I thank you for that brilliant question, and I like that we have a space, a sacred space where we can actually talk about it. And I'm hoping it continue. It's not a new conversation; it's
No, it's
just a
not.
very necessary and urgent reminder. So
Yeah.
here is how I look at it, and I'm going to start by telling a little story. Okay, so
Mm,
my parents had sons and daughters. But for the purpose of these podcasts, I'll tell the story of my four sisters. So I have we are four ladies, including me. So I have three sisters, and we are as different as they come.
mm-hmm.
My kid sister is the fashionista over the top, long nails, lashes. Like her lashes, in fact, is buckets. It's not lashes. Do you understand? So when you see her tattoo and all, and
Yeah.
she's beautiful. That is who she
Mm-hmm.
is. I'm the one that will be like, I don't like these lashes, and I only make up because I have to. Like, if I could be makeupless for all you care. Then I have
Mm-hmm.
my twin sister, okay, who has a different energy than me, right? And who has a different story than me. Then I have my kid sister, who, of all our personalities, seems to have the most reserved personality. The
Mm-hmm.
reason why I wanted to shine the light on my family for a little bit is that I hope you see yourselves. You can have four people with the
Yeah.
same father, mother,
Mm-hmm.
and in a sense, the same upbringing, and they are four different people.
Mm-hmm.
I think until we come to the point where we begin to honor difference, we don't have to like difference, we don't
Mm-hmm.
have to endorse difference. We
Mm-hmm.
don't, in a sense, have to accept difference, but we must come to the maturity where we begin to honor difference. Then that's where we begin to break our internal biases. So, still
Mm-hmm.
on the bias, let's move out of the home a little. My birth story is that I had my three amazing daughters from cesarean surgery. I own it. In
Mm,
fact, years ago, 7 years ago, I wrote an article on the women's forum and I said, we are all Hebrew women. And by Hebrew, I put it in quote. And I said, whether you have a vaginal birth story or an
mm,
adoption story or a
mm,
surrogate story, we are all, every childbirth is valid. Now, my identical twin sister, who we have the same DNA, she had her two boys vaginally.
mm.
So you see, two people with two unique experiences and all are valid. So I
Yeah.
believe that if we do the fundamental job as
Mm,
women, from one soul sister to another, from
yeah.
one queen to another, if we
Mm,
break our own individual biases, then we can
yeah.
be more united to break the bias. So, this is how I want to put it: break your bias so that we can break the bias. If I break
Bias.
my bias, then we can break the bias. You see the statistics, we have so much
Yeah.
going against us. We have all the craziness of misogyny that we
Mm,
cannot have self-directed misogyny.
mm-hmm.
So you have vaginal birth versus cesarean birth.
Mm-hmm.
Stay at home mom versus career mom. So the career mom thinks the homemaker is wasting time. The homemaker thinks the career mom. We have I homeschool my kids. I bake all the cookies and the pie. I'm the head of the
Yeah.
PTA. I have the high flyer who is always on a plane. Two wonderful realities. We have the
Yeah.
natural hair versus pen hair.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the vegan versus meat lover. Then we have,
Yeah.
oh, I will never put my kids in a crèche. The crèche nurtured babies, which my babies are also crèche nurtured. Then you also have the stay home babies. And as if that is not enough, then you come to the babies, they're like, oh, no, 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 I'm a
Mm,
breastfed mom.
mm.
Breast milk is king. Fantastic. I love it. I breastfed my babies. Then you also have no, 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 no. So you have all these dichotomies.
Yeah.
Then you have
Yeah.
single versus married. Then you have
Mm,
divorced versus married. Then you have the older women, not in all cases, who like discountenance the young people as being too inexperienced. And the young
yeah.
people who discountenance the old people as being out of touch. You know what I will say to you? These internal biases we need to fix. You know why,
Yeah.
Amaki? We have
Mm,
work to do.
a lot.
We have Banishes to save. We have
Mm,
policies to adjust. We
mm-hmm.
have educational reforms. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I'm a big believer that women are women's greatest supporters. I don't believe any other narrative to the contrary. But here is what I think: we cannot be our strongest allies if we do not focus.
Mm,
And we cannot be focused on the main goal, the
yeah.
main advantage, the main
Yeah.
advancement, and the main biases to break if we do
Mm-hmm.
not break our internal bias. So, this is what I say: honor the other woman's reality,
Yeah.
honor their conviction,
Mm-hmm.
honor their choice. I didn't say agree with it. I didn't
Yeah.
say endorse it. But if I can honor your conviction, then I will have the freedom to fix your crown and we can
Awesome.
work hand in hand.
Awesome. Awesome. I like that. Honoring, not necessarily accepting, but honoring, more or less like recognizing the uniqueness in that individual and respecting it at the same time. Like, okay, fine. I mean, I honor what you're doing. It brings out the best. So more or less, we now come together complementing ourselves. Not
That's it.
like not like we are competing, but we are complementing ourselves. Beautiful.
Yes.
I like that analogy. And the truth is, the minute the internal is fixed, the external has no choice but to align. That's the truth. The minute you fix that internal dialogue, that internal whatever, everything around you falls into place. Now, you made mention of something in your intro when we're talking about your person, and you talked about a cancer. That word, cancer survival. We're going to get there. But when you came on set, I looked at what you were wearing, and unconsciously, I said, "Did we ask ourselves that we're going to come on set like
I,
this?"
I I think we are more interconnected than we even think. I'm telling you, I think we might be saying something. We
Or
have to
you see
go
that?
research this color code. There is something that we are saying. I think what
You
we
see
are
that
saying is that we don't have to work, see eye to eye, but we can work hand in hand.
hand in hand. Exactly. So tell us about that cancer experience, because whenever I read your story, I stop at that cancer story and it inspires me. I mean, in all levels. Tell us about that story.
So let me start by honoring every survivor. I went for my annual checkup last month, and they had
Mm,
this new sign on MD Anderson Cancer Center, and I loved it. And that's where I'm going to start. And the sign says, the moment you got diagnosed, you became a survivor. My goodness.
ooh,
I
ooh,
read it again. The moment you became diagnosed, the moment you got diagnosed, you became, you know why that mattered to me?
mm,
And again, we, I don't have an imposter syndrome, and I hope those listening, you get to the point where you can graciously receive compliment without deflecting from it.
yeah.
Well, I know people typically mean well when they say, "Oh, well done, Eden. Oh, wow, you beat cancer. You fought cancer. You survived." I see the heart and the love in what they're saying, and I do receive that graciously. But why I wanted to start by honoring survivors is that some survivors didn't make it.
Mm,
And I'm actually, there was nothing they didn't do. They did everything. So, in a sense, I don't feel like I did something extra that made
mm,
me survive, that maybe my brother warrior or a sister warrior didn't do. So, I wanted to take a moment to honor the courage of
mm,
everyone, man or woman,
mm,
whose survival happened on the other side of eternity. Very
mm,
important that we take that out
very,
of the way. Okay.
mm,
And
mm.
now that we've taken that out of the way, let me just put caveat. I never signed up to be the poster girl for cancer survivor. And I have to say that because that's one way to look at it. A lot of people wonder why I am even associated with the survival story because we have
Mhm.
silent survivors. So whether you are an expressive survivor like me or silent, we honor your journey. Now,
Yeah.
the choice to share my story came from an internal conviction that
Yeah.
we have more good stories than bad stories. But the reason why it looks like we don't have good stories is that a lot of good stories are not shared.
Oh, true. True.
In fact, it looks like we have fewer, it looks like, meaning it
Mm,
isn't. It looks
it
like
is.
we have fewer African cancer survivor story, whereas it's not true. And this statistics is when compared to our Caucasian sisters, Caucasian brothers, or other ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's just because we do not share our stories enough.
Enough.
Now, what is the connection between a story and someone else? It's just that if you choose to share your story, you just never know who that story is going to empower, connect with, and maybe save, potentially save, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
for me, I think I got to the point after I was diagnosed with cancer in 2017. I'm going to touch on that briefly.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had two choices on Mercury.
Yeah.
I had privacy,
Okay.
then I had advocacy.
Okay.
Then I put it side by side. And the potency of advocacy outweighed my need for privacy.
Privacy.
I said, if I hide my story because it's mine, I can do whatever I want with it. But I
True.
saw how much the story could empower and potentially save lives. So I removed the privacy part of it and decided to concede to advocacy.
Okay. See.
So from when I was surprisingly diagnosed, there were no warning signals. I wasn't even 40, meaning I wasn't the age where you require a mammogram. There was no
Mm.
family history. There was no genetic makeup. I was a new mom of twins, and suddenly, January 7, you get the call that nobody should get. I'm sorry to inform you, you got diagnosed with cancer after discovering a lump. The
Mm.
first instinct is I don't want to be that person. I don't want this on my resume. I don't want cancer. No. And you go through the belief and like, did you not say God in your words that healing is the children's bread? You go through
Mm.
this cycle of how I'm as positive as they get. How? Why? Then you start to ask the question that never helps anyone. Why me?
I
But I
mean,
think after I morphed out of it, one of the things that helped me is my coaching. When I say I think everybody should be a coach, not necessarily because you have to coach others, but I'm hoping that you have the intervention tools to coach yourself. Because there will be times when life strips you,
yeah,
when life throws you a curveball, and what you have is the internal principles that you use. So in my situation, I was a coach. So I let myself fall, spiraled into this crazy anxiety, depression, and just didn't like the fact that I was diagnosed. But I think
mm.
after two or three weeks, I remembered I was a coach. So Eden, if you were not Eden and you had a client who was you, what will you tell
What will
them?
you do?
Almost like physician, heal yourself. So
More or less.
yes, I think coaching is one of those powerful tools. It gives us tools and neuro linguistic programming tools. Perception,
Mm.
positioning. You unlock gratitude, and I did the entire 9 years. I didn't want cancer, but I commonized it. I didn't think it was the universe trying to set me up. It was not the village people. I just said, you know what, this is what it is, and this is what it is, and I'm going to see it that way. And I started using my affirmations, which is like creating new neural pathways in your mind so
My
that your
mind.
belief aligns to it. I just got off a panel in Women's Day, the Women's Day event, one of the largest that happened today. And I spoke on
Mm.
the wellness panel. And this is what I
Hmm.
said to them. The first thing I made was a declaration. I said, I will only live a first class life. This was someone that didn't even know if she was going to survive. In fact, the way I put it was, I will never live a second class life. But we
Mm.
reframed that conversation in the panel. I will only live a first class life. I will
That's
see
right.
my great grandchildren. So I created, or what we call visualization, an image of 100-year-old Eden in her great granddaughter's wedding. And I've held on that
Awesome.
image. And I still have that image, Amakri. I don't want to
Yeah.
tell you that I made the journey disappear. It's just that I decided that I will be on my own team, regardless of the
Mm.
pain.
Regardless of the pain.
I will not contribute to the pressure. It's already a terribly bad situation. I'm not going to contribute to it. So that's my cancer survival story. And then this year made it the 5 year mark.
Whoa.
5 years.
Whoa.
So after, I'm not even sure I should say this, but I want you to say this, and this might be the first public place that I'm
Mm.
saying this. So
I'm
after
coming.
5 years, I was declared cancer free, which is
Awesome.
powerful. So I'm
Awesome.
rejoicing. I'm ringing the bell. Like,
Awesome.
can't you see my dance?
Awesome.
Like,
I
I'm
can
too
see
lovely.
it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But see the plot twist, Amakri.
Yeah,
Hold your breath.
I am.
In the same meeting, they discovered another calcification.
Mm.
In the same meeting. So on one hand, you're like, oh, 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 oh. But in the same checkup,
Mm.
they discovered what they called two new calcifications that had nothing to do with the other cancer. And if you are a survivor, you know that's not what you're thinking of hearing.
Mm.
So I got confused. Like, do you get a break? So they called for two brand new biopsies after declaring me NED, no evidence of disease, meaning the
Mm.
treatment work you have. But these other two areas of concern. In that moment, let me tell you, I don't know care how strong you are or how resilient you are. You're already at the end. You are tired of the fight. You are just
Mm.
waiting for the chapter to be over. And they're telling you,
Mm.
there's this new. So my first instinct was, I'm done. I don't want this. Whatever you people find, keep it. You people always finding something, keep it. But I knew better. I took a moment to myself and I said, okay, let's do the biopsy. And we did the biopsy. And then you have the waiting game. You're like, God, if you do this, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the results came back negative. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but 7 days later, one of the results came back for the beginning stages of another type of cancer. Whoa. Like,
Mm.
so the first thing I did, Amakri, I went to
Tell
my
me.
profile. I went to my profile and changed my profile, or rather edited my profile to two-time cancer survivor.
Mm.
I survived before, and
Yeah.
even though I was just getting another crazy, unexpected
Mm.
diagnosis, and they said it's not serious, but there's nothing about the C word. We don't want it.
We don't want
The
it.
first thing I did was again apply the same principles that I applied before,
Yeah.
anchor my faith, and I went to the end of the story
Yeah.
and declared the end. I said two-time cancer survivor.
Amazing.
So I
And
went through surgery. In fact, I decided to wear this with my scar because I'm like, hey, our
mm,
scars describe us, they don't define us. Your
they
scars
don't-
may describe you, but they don't define you. So, I'm in a sense in treatment, but
yeah.
I've had the successful surgery and I had to show up. Do you know why I shared this story?
Go ahead. Go ahead. I would love to hear
We
that.
don't wait till the end to show up with intention. That's the
Good.
point.
Amazing.
We don't
Amazing.
wait till the end to decide how the story ends.
No.
We can curate the story with our gratitude, with our positive energy, and our
Mm,
belief system. So here I am
amazing.
showing up already, announcing that I'm not just a cancer survivor from 5 years ago. I survived again just this year.
Hmm. This is humbling. I just have goosebumps all over me now, listening to you. It's an honor, you've done to us on the Word Cafe, sharing this on the Word Cafe. I know it will encourage somebody out there, but just listening to you, see, you're not succumbing to that negativity. You are not giving in to that, would I say, internal why me and all that, but rather you're seeing yourself at the other side, as in the at the end. I'm a victor, I'm a winner. This has only come to prove who who I am really. And this is amazing. This is amazing. I'm going to take you now to something we celebrated recently. All of us in the house, when we heard about it, we were like, whoa, amazing. Being listed as a member of the Forbes Coaching Council, if I'm not mistaken, that's the right word there. I mean, I wanted to tell us about your coaching experience a little because I see since we started, you've been talking about coaching and coaching and coaching. No doubt about it. You have not just invested, you have also received the reward or the return on your investment on coaching. Tell us about it and your FOB story.
Thank you so very much. And just not me, our own very FD, D Falaku,
Yeah,
who was
yes,
also inducted into as an
inducted.
official member of the Forbes Coaches Council. So
Yeah.
last year, November, shortly after Mom passed, I got interviewed by a member of the Forbes Coaches Council. And what is a Forbes Coaches Council? Is an invitation only global quora of some of the finest, most seasoned, experienced coaches around the world. So that's an incredible honor. And this year I was a member of the Forbes Coaches Council. I love that because I'm able to learn from other great coaches, network at that level, and also share best practices of what works. So that's something I absolutely I am thankful for, and I love it. I love it. Bragging rights. I love it.
You
And
have
yes.
to.
Most people will know me by coaching, even though I do several other things. But I think I'm better known as the coach. And even though
Yeah.
I see myself more as a counselor, because counseling
Mhm.
is different from coaching, they're all different. I see
Yeah.
myself more as a counselor, but again, I have been a trained coach. So I've been coaching professionally for about maybe slightly about 7 years. But all my
Mhm.
life, probably I've been talking to people, encouraging people, bringing people to the point where they find clarity and make better
Mhm.
decisions. So I have a gift to simplify complex things. I say to people, if I show you a method of doing something, it will come easy for you. But I think for me, we have to work it backwards. So for me, coaching is an expression of a divine call. That's how I see
Okay.
it. Coaching is an expression
Okay.
of a divine. I feel called to coach. I feel
Awesome.
it's a call. I do not want to be a pastor. I don't want to be a minister. I don't ordain.
Mhm.
For me, that's my ordination. And that's because years ago, you might have heard the story. Some of you may have heard it. I think when I was 17 or 18, I stumbled on this Bible passage, Isaiah chapter 50, verse 4. And it looked like a personal love letter written from God to me because it just connected to me in a way that anytime I tell this story, I still feel I am like in that moment. So
Mm.
Isaiah chapter 50, verse 4 said, I have given you the tongue of the learned to
Mhm.
speak a word in season to them that are weary. So for
Mm.
me, I just knew that there will be a connection with the use of my voice in some way, the tongue of the learned,
Mm.
to speak a word to them that are weary. So I knew I was called to weary people. And weary here is any category of stock, any category of trying to discover yourself. So I already knew, I didn't know at the time that it was coaching. I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to be a lawyer. But as the years evolved, I just knew that fundamentally my call had to do with speaking, teaching, sharing, and writing. So over the
Right.
years, I moved from encouragement, benevolence, and help to coaching. Then I decided, to make this professional. I was already passionate about helping people in this way, right? I already
Right.
felt called in this way, but I'm like, you know what? Let's add some training, some skill and some
Mhm.
additional tools to that calling. So let's just say I certified my call
Awesome.
by joining the John Maxwell team, I think 7 years ago. Then I eventually became trained as a neuro linguistic practitioner, emotional freedom technique, and I've been coaching through my initiative, A Woman and Half. And I decided to stay on relationship and mindset because I could coach leadership, I could do business. Because I have an MBA, I could also do leadership or
Mhm.
finance because I've been in finance. But I
Mhm.
believe that relationships are the soul of life, and when it comes to women, if that centerpiece, the epicenter of right relationships, firstly, relationship with yourself,
Yes.
relationship with others, or your
Mhm.
relationship with your spouse, if there's a disconnect, it kind of has a way of affecting everything. So that's my coaching story. And I think I feel incredibly honored to
Mhm.
coach very wonderful women, clients turned sisters, to just see someone move from stuck to unstuck, to see someone who questioned themselves walk away and lay down the shackles of trauma. I feel it's
Mm.
a sacred call and it's an honored privilege. And I've been doing it for years, and I'm thankful that this is something that I am doing.
Amazing. Guys, we have been discussing with Eden Onwuka. I mean, whenever she comes into that space and she's talking about her passion, which is coaching, as she has revealed here, everything around her comes alive. Yes, everything. I'm telling you, everything comes alive. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm so excited. I'm privileged having you on this show today, sharing with the world your story. I am so privileged. Before I let you go, because I know you have other uh, events to catch up with today, being a wonderful day. What are you up to? What is Eden Onwuka? Let's hear that.
Oh my goodness. So Eden Onwuka is going to be in your faces in a couple of months. We are working on several projects. But I think for
Hmm.
me, the word for the month was build, for the year was build. So I kind
Hmm.
of retreated a little bit just to kind of build and do a couple of things. But I
Yeah,
know that I'm a big believer in affirmations. I'm sure you already know that, right? I'm
yeah.
a big believer in affirmations. Affirmations were instrumental to my healing. It's part of what we use in my coaching. We have a whole series of affirmations that we use for detox. So I put
Hmm.
anyone who comes through my coaching does a lot of affirmations to detox themselves from wrong beliefs. So we have a project or a book, a woman and a half, 100
Hmm.
affirmations for the woman who wants to
Yes.
be more and will not settle for less. And it's been widely acclaimed and received. I think that was book 3 or 4, my third or
Yeah.
fourth book. So we also have it translated to Spanish. But guess
Are
what?
you serious?
No, yeah, it's been translated to Spanish. So it's available in Spanish since 2019.
Awesome.
It's not,
Awesome.
yes. But what we just did this month is to turn it into audio version. So
Woo!
guys, people have been asking, Eden, I wish this was in audio form. I would love to hear you read those affirmations. So we
Yes.
just got off the studio, hot from the press, and
Awesome.
I had the honor of reading and declaring those affirmations. So it will be
Awesome.
available on Audible. So you will actually not just read those, you can put it when you are driving and just allow the force of those divine words to hit you. So we have
Mm.
it available. The woman and a half affirmation is going to be available on Audible by the end of the month. And the affirmations for men, a man and a half, which we started working on 2 years ago, has been ready. So by the end of April, you will have a man and a half,
Mm-hmm.
200 affirmations for the man who walks in dominion. And trust me, some of the contributors on that project will blow your mind. So that's part of what we are working on at a short-term level. But at the long-term level in October, God helping us, we will roll out our flagship project of the
Okay.
Survivors Network, where we would have 50 African survivors walk
Mm.
the stage, telling our
Mm.
unique African survival stories in
Mm.
Africa. I will be
Awesome.
survivor number 50 to walk not the wrong way, the pink way. Stay expectant.
Awesome. Guys, we can go on and on. You know, she will just finish us the way we say it in Africa or in Nigeria. She will just finish us, but we need to let her go to catch up with other things. We are so honored. We are so honored. We are so honored that you came on the show today to share with us, this unique day, not just, keeping it to yourself, but with the world. Our prayer is that God, who has started this with you and in you, will fulfill it, will make it happen. It will be complete, it will be total. Thank you so, so much. Guys, yes, this is where we're going to draw the curtain today. But this is the Word Cafe, and this is the month we are going to be celebrating women. So just get ready. The month of March, we'll be having a lot of women coming on the show, talking, giving us, sharing their essence and all that. You know how we say it on the show. We believe what? In the power of words. Why? It is the unit of creation. Till we come your way again, I'm your host, Amakri Isoboye. Bye for now.